Hey there, my legal pagers listening into this episode of the Legal Page Podcast. Today, we are talking about how to use a rescheduling addendum, which is a contract addendum, a rescheduling contract, and a cancellation contract. These are the three documents that you will find in our cancellation and rescheduling bundle that you can buy for under $100. They're super inexpensive. I bundled them all together because a lot of us don't have a lot of expendable income right now, but these are all documents that we need depending on the client situation. If you like your contract, need to update your existing contract, all of that jazz, I am going to go into this episode on how to use each document and why they are important for various types of situations. So let's get to it, legal pagers. You're listening to the Legal Page Podcast, where we chat about life and business with a legal twist. I'm Paige, attorney and photographer helping online businesses and creatives tackle their business dreams without breaking out in hives. No more legal mumbo jumbo. This podcast features simple, bite-sized advice that'll have you legally legit in no time. Are you ready? Let's get started. As a reminder, before we get into this episode, I am legally obligated to give my disclaimer. So I am an attorney, but I am not your attorney. All legal information I talk about on this episode is intended for the masses and a large variety of different businesses. I am only your attorney when you hire me and we sign an engagement letter for me to work specifically on your legal issues. Please feel free to seek out another attorney in your hometown if you need specific legal advice or contact me for more information. Alrighty, here's the episode, friends. I'm just going to jump right into this and we're going to talk about the rescheduling addendum. Now, I named it a rescheduling addendum, but you guys, it's a contract addendum. So this is a document that you're going to use when your clients have a new date, a new event date. They just want to reschedule your services to this new date that they already have. It's locked down. And you are fully comfortable with the language in your existing contract. That is really, really important. And I want people to just let that sink in for a second. They have the new date, but are you fully comfortable with your existing contract language? If you use HoneyBook, 17 Hats, Dubsado, HelloSign, or another contract signing CRM system, you're also going to have to see what options you have to edit and amend a contract. So if you can, you're going to want to attach this rescheduling addendum to the bottom of your contract. So the original contract kind of sits above it, and it's basically attached at the bottom. That is usually how these CRM systems are going to allow you to use this rescheduling addendum. So if you like your contract, you're cool with the language, you're fine continuing on. And it's really the contract addendum here, you guys, is the simplest way to set up rescheduling. And if sometimes it's just, even if you aren't totally sure on a couple clauses, it might just be worth it to send this addendum versus a full-blown rescheduling contract. But I'm going to get into that in a second. However, if you're good with it, they have a new date, you like your contract, then you want to kind of attach this to your original contract somehow. So those CRM systems are important. Some people have asked me like how you edit your original contract. Usually you can edit the contract and you're just going to copy and paste this addendum at the bottom of the contract and then your clients would re-sign. But if you can't do that, people are like, what do I do, Paige? What do I do? Because you can't like staple the addendum to the original contract because you're not doing this in person, right? You're doing it online. So you will want to delete the language that we have in the contract addendum that says this addendum amends or modifies the attached original agreement. You're going to want to delete that sentence, and you could say something along the lines of this addendum amends and modifies the original agreement signed by clients on X date and signed by company on X date. So it's referring back to that original agreement of services, and it's just amending the original agreement of services for you to perform X services on X date. And again, I want to just reiterate here that A rescheduling addendum is only appropriate also if you are performing the exact same services on a new date. If you're like splitting services in any way, shape, or form, I don't suggest you use an addendum. I suggest you use a rescheduling contract. But that is how you would attach, so to speak, an addendum to your original contract. Of course, you want your clients to sign something memorializing the change in rescheduling date of your services, and then you're just going to modify the original agreement for date purposes. You and your clients should both sign this contract addendum. And most clients should easily sign it without any concern or issue since it's just changing the date, which is good for them, and it's not changing the actual contract. So note here, if you're a photographer and you're rescheduling your services with your clients, and say you're adding on an associate to shoot for you, so it's the same services, maybe you're not available, but your clients are okay with you just performing your services through, say, an associate, then you need to have in your contract addendum also some language and clauses surrounding the associate photographer coming on board. So we created a very special contract addendum for rescheduling purposes and for adding on associate photographers. And this modifies the language that we have in our bundle. So if you are a photographer who's doing that specific thing, there is an addendum specifically for you that you can find in the Legal Paige shop. Now, this is honestly a rescheduling addendum, contract addendum, whatever you want to call it, is really only used for a very small amount of circumstances right now. I have used personally, you guys know I'm a photographer as well. I had a wedding in May and I had to use the contract addendum to reschedule my services. They had to reschedule. They couldn't host the wedding. And so they're getting married in 2021. I was available on their date. I'm the only person that photographs for my business now, since I don't photograph as many as I used to. If you guys, side note, if you didn't know this, I used to photograph like 25 to 30 weddings a year, but now I only shoot about 5 every year. I'm the lead photographer. I hire out second shooters. So it's just me and I was available. Of course, I like my contracts. I wrote them and I was totally comfortable using the same contract in the future. We didn't really have any pushback, no issues. The client and I are good friends. So I just sent her the contract addendum. She signed, boom, done. However, many people are not as steadfast and solid and comfortable and confident with their existing contract. They've looked at it during COVID because now we all have laser beam focus on our contracts and they're like, oh God, this is not the best contract. I have language that is super confusing to me. It's confusing to my clients. I need to update my contract. If that is the situation, or your clients don't have a date yet. That's a very big possibility, right? They can't host the event. They need to do something. You need to get rid of your performance obligations on that original date that they had set. You need them to sign off that you're not going to like show up, right? Because you can't. And they're like holding off on trying to decide when to reschedule. Maybe they have lots of vendors they have to work with. Maybe they're just, it's so emotionally overwhelming for them. They need a little bit of time to process. So if they don't have a rescheduling date, or you want to update your contract, or you're splitting your services, like maybe you're going to shoot their elopement in a couple of months because they still want to get married right now, but then they're going to host a big reception in 2021. That's splitting your services. That's like 2 new contracts you need to sign. So if that's the case, I want you to use the rescheduling contract in our rescheduling and cancellation document bundle that I talked to you about. So remember that bundle that you purchased, I think it's $97 in the shop. You get 3 different documents in that bundle. You get the contract addendum, the rescheduling contract, and the cancellation contract. I would say about 90% of service providers are actually using just the rescheduling contract because one of those 3 scenarios that I talked about is probably happening. Most often you want to update your existing contract or your clients just haven't chosen a rescheduling date. So What it does is keeps whatever fees your clients have paid thus far on credit with your company to be used within X period of time. Sometimes your clients have paid like only the retainer. Sometimes they've paid the retainer plus other fees, and sometimes they've already paid in full. So you want to explain that in the transferability of fees clause in the rescheduling contract, like literally list out what they have paid thus far as of X date and what you are keeping on credit for, say, 12 months, 18 months, and that they need to probably notify you within a 6-month period of time so that of when they want to book your services so you can get it on your calendar. The transferability of the retainer or fees paid section is where you're going to input all of that. Again, I'm just trying to reiterate this here so you don't get confused. And then also in this clause, like I said, you're going to want to put a date that your clients need to notify you of how they're using your credit. That is really important because you kind of want to have a cutoff date of when they would ultimately just forfeit all of their fees paid. They have some obligations here to tell you how they're using this, so to speak, gift card metaphorically on credit with your company. You just don't want to keep this credit forever and ever and ever. One thing people have asked me is, can you modify this transferability clause? Of course you can. Each client situation is different and your business practices are different than your friends. So say you are only allowing credit to be used in 2020 and not 2021 because you're going to impact kind of your ability to bring on more clients in 2021 if you allow rescheduling to happen in, say, summer 2021 when you're going to be really busy. You're going to want to explain that in that clause. You're going to want to say transferability of credit is only extended until December 31st, 2020, and then they forfeit everything. Or say your business practices are that you're not going to increase package pricing if they reschedule sometime in 2020, but they will have an increase in pricing if they book in 2021. You are also going to want to very clearly express that in your transferability of fees paid clause. So you need to write out kind of what's your policy here. Some people are like, you can reschedule, whatever. We're not going to increase pricing for the next 12 months. Just let us know when you want to reschedule. But some people are like, that's going to impact my bottom line as a business if I allow all these people to reschedule into my most busy season, June, July, and August for lots of wedding vendors in 2021. 2021 is going to be hopping for weddings and events. Everybody's going to want to do stuff and party and get married in 2021. So you do have to be cautious. Maybe you'll allow transferability of fees paid without an increase in pricing for Friday and Sunday weddings only, but not for Saturdays. If they want a Saturday date in 2021, then they need to pay an increase in pricing. Explain that in this rescheduling contract, please, so that there's no confusion and absolutely no arguments to be made down the line by you or your client. And then to just quickly explain the remaining clauses that are in this contract so you are aware of what they mean and why they are necessary to have in this contract. A rescheduling contract, I named it that just for clarity purposes, but it's basically a rescheduling / termination contract because it's terminating your services that were supposed to be performed on X date to a new date. You're ripping up the old contract if they sign on the dotted line. You're going to send them a new contract, and you're just telling your clients how you are keeping fees paid on as credit. Hey there, friend. Are you listening into this episode and wondering, gosh, this sounds like a document I really need right now in my business? I got you. We have the cancellation and rescheduling bundle in the Legal Paige shop for under $100. It's $97 and you get all 3 documents that you can use right now during Corona and also anytime in the future. You have lifetime access to these documents. Just go to thelegalpaige.com to get your bundle today. Again, that's thelegalpaige, PAIGE.com. So the clause that is important after kind of you explain the transferability of fees paid is the company's release of contractual obligations clause. And this means that you are no longer contractually obligated to perform on the date in the original contract. Then there is a mutual release of claims clause, and this is good for you and your clients. It's good for both. That's really important to explain to them if they don't understand this clause. It says that you both have come to an agreement with transferring their fees paid, that they won't take any legal action against you, and you won't take any legal action against them for anything dealing with a potential breach of contract in the previous original contract that you signed, and or payments due or performances due by your clients under the previous contract. So mutual release of claims clause. Then there is a representations and warranties clause in this rescheduling contract. And it says that everyone, of course, has the capacity to enter into the contract and that they are indeed the ones signing at the bottom and they understand what this document and contract means. Then you'll see a confidentiality clause, which is important because you may be doing different things with different clients. So it's important that you keep your mutual resolution with this particular, client to yourselves, that you don't say anything about what you have agreed to with these two spouses and they don't go saying, oh, well, they actually, Paige allowed me to transfer my services for 24 months and you only got 12 months. That would be covered under the confidentiality clause. Then there's a venue and jurisdiction clause, which is one of those boilerplate language clauses you need in every contract, and you want to make sure you use your home county and state in venue and jurisdiction clauses. It just means that if a lawsuit or arbitration comes up, it would occur based upon your state laws. So the contract would be interpreted under your state laws and not if your clients are in a different state. That's why this is important. And then the venue where that lawsuit would take place should be your home county. You'll also see a severability clause. This is the catch-all clause. Again, boilerplate language, general provisions you should have in every contract. That helps just in case one of your state laws, say you're someone out there in, New Jersey. Maybe you're in Missouri. I don't know where you're at. If your state law says that one of these clauses in the template rescheduling contract is invalid, that it wouldn't make the entire contract null and void. It would just cross out that single clause or even a portion or section of a singular clause. So a severability clause is really important to have, and that's in the contract. And then there's a counterparts and facsimile signature clause because chances are you're going to be sending this. I hope you're not meeting up with your clients in person. No, don't do that with COVID. If you're sending it electronically, you need an electronic signature clause. That, of course, means that electronic signatures are okay and constitute a valid contract. Another note I wanted to ensure that I touch on is people have asked me if they can include a non-disparagement clause or something similar in this rescheduling contract in an attempt to prevent clients from giving bad reviews online or posting anything like testimonial-wise about their experience working with you. First off, I don't agree in putting this type of clause in your rescheduling contract because, one, it looks bad on its face. You basically are telling them that you don't like bad reviews and or are worried about it. And second, you can't really keep your clients from writing a bad review. That's like a freedom of speech right to do so. If you've done a bad job or they have, you have given them something to complain about as a customer, that's their First Amendment freedom of speech right to say anything. Non-disparagement clauses like that are really only clauses that belong in business-to-business contracts, not client-to-business contracts. That's why I didn't include it in here. I don't think it's wise, and I didn't add one in, and I don't think it's appropriate in a rescheduling contract or a cancellation contract for that matter. If you just serve your clients and go above and beyond for them, you shouldn't be even worried about bad reviews anyway. Finally, let's get into a cancellation contract. This is not the most fun contract that you want to send, but in some situations you have to. So say rescheduling is not an option and your clients just want to cancel and terminate services in full. You need to document that in some way, shape, or fashion by having a signed agreement, and you're going to explain what you are doing with the fees they have paid thus far under this cancellation contract. I named it a cancellation contract just for connotation purposes. The word termination, I just don't like. Terminate. Like, it just sounds bad. I like the word cancellation. It's a little bit better than terminate, but essentially this is a termination contract. So you are going to send this contract out separately, just like you would the rescheduling contract. The contract addendum, you guys, is the only one you would want to somehow reference the previous contract and try to get it like attached to the bottom of the contract. Remember, I talked about that at the beginning of this episode. But a rescheduling contract and a cancellation contract is a secondary contract that you would send out separate from the original contract. It's a new contract. It's going to terminate and supersede the previous service agreement and any oral or written agreements that you've had with the clients, say through like emailing back and forth or on a phone call with them. That's really important. This cancellation contract supersedes all of that. It cancels your services for all of your obligations under that previous contract. And then you'll see in this cancellation contract we have it under section 2, where it says the top of the clause is titled forfeit of retainer or deposit or fees paid. Whatever it is listed as in your original contract, if it says your reservation fee, if it says retainer, then you'd use the word retainer there. So let's just say for all intensive purposes, clause 2 is titled forfeit of retainer. Use the template clause language that we have in the cancellation contract if you are keeping some portion of the fees that the clients have paid. Many service providers have existing contract language that allows them to legally keep the non-refundable retainer or at least a portion of the retainer due to services that they have performed up to the date of this cancellation agreement being sent out to your clients. But if you are giving the client a partial, like a really big partial refund or a full refund, you are going to want to label this clause refund of fees paid. And you're going to modify the language in this clause to state exactly what you are refunding the client. You're going to indicate the exact amount you're refunding the client and how long you have to refund the amount. You're not just going to say you're going to refund this and then leave it open-ended on how you're getting that to your clients. Are you sending a check? Do you have 5 days to like refund? Is it going to be sent just through, Honeybook's payment processor or your CRM system's payment system, and then you're leaving it in a third-party processor's hands? You need to explain all of that in the clause. So if you guys go to our recent blog post, if you go to thelegalpage.com and you click on our blogs, you will see a legal article that really goes over how to use a cancellation contract. And in there, you guys, we have swipe copy for you to modify this section number 2 of the cancellation contract that will give you language regarding how you would refund in full. And it explains, the company shall refund the full retainer paid by clients. Clients are under no further payment obligations under the previous contract. Company will issue the refund within 7 days after signing the cancellation agreement via credit on the original form of payment. And clients understand and agree that if they determine to reschedule the wedding after signing this cancellation agreement, that the clients must rebook company services under a new contract, a new deposit or retainer, and updated pricing. So and then there's language regarding like refunding a portion of the fees paid. So just go to that blog post if you need to modify any of the language that is actually in the cancellation template contract that would be included in the bundle that you purchased. Then just note that after that section, you're going to have the same similar clauses that are in the rescheduling contract. So companies' release of contractual obligations clause, mutual release of claims, representations and warranties, confidentiality clause, venue and jurisdiction, severability, counterparts, and facsimile signatures. I didn't want to make the rescheduling contract and the cancellation contract huge, right? That's scary. It's scary for your clients to get a rescheduling or cancellation contract that's like 5 pages long. We tried to keep these short, sweet, to the point, but it's very clear, what your clients are doing and how you guys have reached this mutual resolution. Please, 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 if you are rescheduling anything dealing with services you're supposed to perform on some date during this corona crisis, sign something, please. Legal Paige talking here. Please sign and memorialize your resolution with your clients, either with a rescheduling addendum that you attach to the original contract, new separate rescheduling contract, or a cancellation contract. One of those 3 is what you are going to use in various client situations. And hopefully this episode taught you how to use them, the best way to utilize them, how to modify them. And really, as you're looking through them, I want you to listen to this episode and have a really good grasp and understanding of what this contract actually means, because that's so important as a back-end business owner to wear that CLO, Chief Legal Officer hat that I talk about a lot. It's important to know the legal stuff that is involved with your business, and especially in documents and legal things you are signing onto with your clients. So I hope you guys found this episode really, really helpful. If you have further questions, you can come into the Legal Paige community on Facebook, and me and my team will be in there to answer them. Have a good one. Thanks so much for listening to this episode of the Legal Paige podcast. See, I told you being legally legit isn't so scary. Be sure to visit thelegalpage.com for all show notes. And it would be super awesome if you could head over to iTunes and leave a review. Last but not least, don't forget to join my free Facebook group for unlimited legal and biz Q&A. Chat soon, Legal Pagers.